Today I thought we'd talk about reptile food. So let's see what it takes to feed all of these animals that we have down here. First, we'll start with bugs. So we have a few options for bugs up here. This is a Repashy food, a powder that you mix to make a gel-like food. This is for isopods. You mix it together and it is all-purpose, all-in-one diet for them. We also have this dried powdered isopod food. This is Supreme Feed isopod food. Just take this, dump a little bit in their enclosure for their food. We also have any insects that you have. I use this stuff for our crickets, for our roaches, for our isopods. This are water gel crystals. You take this stuff right here and you just pour it. As you can see, it's just like little crystals. You take that stuff right there and you pour it into water and wait about an hour or two, and just one tiny little handful or one little scoop of this will make a good sized tub of water crystals for your bugs. It is a safer way of hydrating your bugs rather than putting water dishes in there that most bugs will just drown in. This is a safe option for giving your bugs hydration. Lastly, for bugs, we have this. This is brewer's yeast powder. This is what I actually feed to our springtails. I just got this off of Amazon. It's made for cooking. We're not making cookies with it. But you just pour a little bit of this in their enclosure, and I usually give it a little mist with some water, and isopods eat this stuff up, and it's really good for them, especially if you're trying to breed isopods. You want to give them this stuff. It's a good food to give to your isopods. Next, let's go with geckos. So this right here is another Repashy diet. It's called Grub Pie. This I have used for bearded dragons. You can leopard geckos, any insectivorous lizards. I have Australian water dragons, Rankin's dragons, any insectivorous lizard. You can make this stuff for them. Again, it's a powder that you mix with some water and it makes a gel-like substance, and you can feed it to any of your insect-eating animals. And from what I've used it, they like it pretty good, and it's good for them. A good staple diet that you can keep on hand that lasts a long time, that you don't have to worry about going bad or dying like crickets. Crested geckos. This is a pelleted crested gecko diet by Fluker Farms. They eat this okay. It's definitely not their favorite. This next food right here, they absolutely love. This is Pangea's crested gecko diet. We have fig and insects and apricot. They have lots of different flavors. They have watermelon, they have mango, they have lots of different flavors of these. So I try to mix it up every once in a while. But this is a powder in here that smells really, really good. Probably one of the only reptile foods that I've ever had that smells like it's something that I want to eat. It smells sweet, and it smells really good. But it's a powder. Again, you just pour it into a little dish, mix it with some water, stir it up a little bit, and you have a gel-like substance for your crested geckos. And my crested geckos devour this stuff. They love it. The only stuff with this, when you're using any of these powder diets, the Repashy powder diet, the Repashy insect powder diet, you want to make sure that you're going in there daily and taking out anything that isn't eaten, because this stuff will go bad very quickly if it's left uneaten in their enclosure. Within a day or two, it'll start molding and drying and getting really nasty. So I'll make sure you clean this stuff out daily after feeding. Another really important aspect of feeding your animals, especially your insectivores, your animals that are eating your crickets and your roaches and your mealworms and your superworms and all that stuff, is calcium powder. This stuff right here, you want to dust on your bugs that you're feeding at least one to two times per week. You want to, if you have any lizards, geckos, whatever that you are breeding or could possibly be breeding, or that may possibly lay eggs, you want to make sure they get some extra calcium in their diet, because laying those eggs takes a lot of calcium out of their body. They have to, eggs shells are made out of calcium, and the calcium comes from the mother's body. So you want to make sure you're replenishing that calcium when you are, especially when they are breeding. You also want to give them a multivitamin powder. I don't have it here right now. I actually have to go to the store and get some. I just ran out. It's a multivitamin powder that you want to dust on your insect food at least once or twice a week. You can also dust their veggies, like your Rankin's dragons or bitter dragons or iguanas or whatever kind of herbivorous lizards that you have. You can dust their veggies in it too. Just put a little sprinkle on top of the veggies when you feed it to them. They'll eat it that way too. So tortoises, I've got a couple different ones here. I have Tortoise Diet, LS Diet. These are both Missouri diets. Missouri is one of the top brands out there for reptile animal food. They, almost any zoo that you go to, are probably going to be feeding their animals Missouri diet. It's really good for them. A lot of stuff goes into making this. This is for our Russian tortoise. Take these pellets, pour it in a bowl. Sometimes I'll spray a little water onto it just to moisten them up a little bit to entice her to eat them a little bit more. This is tortoise diet, but in very tiny pellets. And I actually used this when I had iguanas here. I had baby iguanas here earlier this year that we sold at one of our reptile expos. And I took a little bit of this, poured it in a bowl to feed to them. You can also feed it to bearded dragons, Rankin's dragons, any reptile that is going to be eating vegetation. So any vegetation eating reptiles that you have, your mastics, iguanas, that kind of stuff, you can just pour a little of this in a bowl. I usually like to mist it down a little bit. It just seems to bring out the flavor and the smell a little bit more, and it makes it a little bit more enticing for them to want to eat it. Now for our aquatic animals. First here we have a nice big jar of axolotl food, because we recently just got into axolotls, and we currently have at least about 100 axolotls here. So this is very, very important. They eat this diet. It's a sinking pelleted diet, so that it's not going to float on the surface. It's going to float down, and that's where they'll go down as soon as it gets them, or they'll go down to the bottom of the tank and they'll scoop these up with their mouths. We also have about 22 newts. These guys also, our Spanish rib newts, also eat these sinking pellets. It's a good all-purpose diet for your axolotls and newts. They don't really need a whole lot else for them. I do supplement them with some other foods, which I will show you in a minute because they're in the freezer. Turtles. So we have several different turtle foods because we have several different sized turtles. We have little tiny baby albino red-eared sliders. I have Reeves turtles, which are medium size, they're about 3 or 4 inches. And I have 10 to 12-inch red-eared sliders and southern cooters. So, juvenile Omega 1, if you can get them, is one of the best turtle foods that I found out there. I really like them. If you look at their ingredient list, you want to look at the first 4 to 5 ingredients on a list whenever you're looking for foods for your animals, especially any pelleted, dry, pre-made foods. And the first ingredients in this are salmon, whole herring. It does have wheat flour, pea protein, and wheat germ meal. Those are the first 5 ingredients, but those first 2 ingredients being salmon and whole herring, that means the ingredients, any ingredients list that you see either on animal food, on people food, any packaged food that has an ingredients label on it, it's gonna start with the ingredient with the most amount in it. So salmon and herring, whole herring, means that the first ingredients, the largest quantity of ingredients in this are gonna be salmon and herring. What you don't want to see, which with some of these other ones that we do get, let's see, this is Reptomin jumbo pellets. This I actually feed to my alligator snapping turtles, my alligator snapping turtle, and some of my larger sliders and cooters. So the first ingredient of this is fish meal. If you see any ingredient with meal in the name, that is a really good thing. That means it is the good stuff out of the fish. If it just said fish, you're gonna be talking every part of the fish, the organs, the bones, the skin, everything. It's the whole fish. Fish meal is just the meat of the fish. So that being the first ingredient is really good. Unfortunately, right after that, we go to wheat starch, corn flour, dried yeast, and then we will see shrimp meal and wheat gluten. So this, I'm not the biggest fan of the Tetra foods, just because they do have a lot of fillers. When you see corn and wheat in your packaged pelleted foods, that's just a filler. You want to see whole foods. You want to see fish meals, salmon. If you have even your cat and dog food, you want to see chicken meal, beef meal. You want to see those protein foods right in those first couple ingredients. You don't want to see wheat, you don't want to see corn, and you really don't want to see rice. Those are just fillers that really aren't going to do much at all for your animal. Hikari turtle food. Again, I do really like this turtle food too. Its first ingredient is fish meal. It does go on to, just like the Tetra though, it does go on to dried bakery product. I'm not really sure what that's supposed to mean, dried bakery product. Then wheat flour, soybean, brewer's dried yeast. So this could be a little better, but at least that first ingredient is still fish meal, which is good. And this food right here is a medium-sized pellet that goes for all of my turtles in our 150-gallon turtle pond we have in here. So all of our sliders, we have a southern painted turtle in there, we have a southern cooter in there, we have a pink belly side neck turtle in there, and yellow belly sliders. This stuff right here, bag this size will last me maybe 1 to 2 weeks. So I'm looking for bigger bags. The extra treat I like to give my turtles is this right here. It's Turtle Treats by Fluker Farms, and these are really good. These are just dried bugs in there. You've got crickets, you got shrimp, you got mealworms, you got superworms, all that stuff, and it's just dried bugs. It's really good for them. It's a good source of protein. They like it. It gives variety to their diet. All the reptiles or any animals that you have, you want to vary up their diet as much as possible. You don't want to just give them the same thing every day. That's boring. You don't want to eat the same thing every day. Neither do your animals. So mix it up. Give them, whenever I go to get food for them, I try to find something different or get treats for them. So you can at least give them different treats, frozen foods, which we'll look at in a second. I do give my turtles frozen foods once in a while, just to give them a variety of different types of food. Zoo Med's aquatic frog and tadpole food. I use this for some of our, I do have frogs. We have African clawed frogs, who's actually getting a bit too big for this. Our African clawed frogs right now are actually eating our axolotl food because they've gotten too big for this stuff right here. They're getting pretty sizable. They're not little babies anymore. But if you have just dwarf African clawed frogs, any kind of aquatic frogs or tadpoles, this stuff is really good. It's a sinking pellet. So, and they're little tiny pellets. So you just sprinkle them in the water. They fall down to the bottom, and as soon as they get near the frogs, they'll suck it all up and chow the stuff down. Now we do have fish in some of our aquariums. In our albino red-eared slider tank, I do have fish that I keep in there with them. They all get along pretty good. I actually just added a couple more today. I got some cories in there, and I got some white cloud mountain minnows. They're really tiny right now. I'm hoping they don't get eaten, so I'd like to grow up a school of white cloud minnows and hopefully be able to breed them someday. But I also have a ton of rosy red minnows in there that have been getting along fine. I have Pictus catfish in there. I have zebra danios in there. Zebra danios, which are related to the white cloud minnows. They're a small, relatively small, very fast fish, which actually makes them pretty good tank mates for baby turtles like that, because they're usually too quick and they get out of the way before a turtle can chase them down. But this tropical flakes are for my fish. The fish also eat the turtle food. I put it in there. They'll eat the turtle food. They'll eat the frozen foods. Speaking of fish, we have algae wafers. We also have a white crayfish. So these, I put them in there. The crayfish will eat these algae wafers. I'll put them in there for the bottom feeders in our fish tanks. The cories will eat these. Any kind of, we have Chinese algae eaters. So if they're keeping your tank clean and there's no algae left, you just throw a couple of these pellets in there. They'll get them some food to eat, so they don't, if they're ran out of algae in your tank. Also, it said if you're keeping crabs or shrimp or anything like that, or crayfish, this is a good diet for them too. They like this stuff. Our last packaged food over here is going to be brine shrimp eggs. If you keep or breed any sort of amphibians like axolotls and newts like we do, this stuff is, you have to get some sort of brine shrimp or Daphnia. I actually grew up my Spanish rib newts on live Daphnia. That worked great. But this stuff, it's dehydrated brine shrimp eggs. If you do is get a small container of salt water, get some salt for making saltwater tanks, put it in some water, get some aeration there with a bubbler, and put these in there, let them sit in there for 24 hours, and you have live baby brine shrimp. And if you're keeping axolotls or newts and breeding them, so you have super tiny babies, and we're talking babies when they hatch out are maybe quarter of an inch long, and all they will eat are live foods. You can't feed them frozen foods. You can't feed them sinking pelleted food. They have to eat. They will only eat live food when they're born. So if you want to keep your babies alive, you need to get these. So that is it for the pelleted diet. Now I'm going to take you to the other side of the room over there and we're gonna check out our frozen foods. We are over here at our freezer that we keep in our reptile room. Here we have all of our frozen foods. We have all of these frozen foods are going to be for our newts, our axolotls, and our turtles. The aquatic frogs, the African clawed frogs, and the fish will eat this too because they're all in the same closures. Bloodworms. If you are keeping axolotls and or newts, like our Spanish rib newts, frozen bloodworms are a must. This is one of their staple diets. I go through, this is a 2-pack right here that has, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, has about 20 cubes in it. So 40 cubes in the double pack, 2 times 20, 40, math. One of these 40 cubes of this will last me with all of the animals we have, maybe 1 to 2 weeks. So I'm buying these at least once every week or two. Like I said, the best diet for your animal is going to be a varied diet. So in addition to bloodworms, we have frozen whole Daphnia. Like I said before, I actually get live Daphnia when I have my baby newts. They love it. But frozen Daphnia for when they get older, they love this stuff. Great addition. We have chopped frozen shrimp. All this stuff is Omega-1. Omega-1 is a fantastic brand. If you want to be a sponsor, please reach out. I would love to sponsor Omega-1. I love your food. But frozen chopped shrimp, great food. Again, it's going to be for all of our axolotls, turtles, newts, frogs. They love it. We also have super carnivore diet. It's just, let's see, I can tell you what is in it. Ingredients: mysis shrimp, brine shrimp, and bloodworms. So it's really just a mix of all of the other stuff we already have in here. It's just all mixed into one cube. So I just put a couple of these in there. They love them. This one, I don't have the package for it anymore, but this one is actually for my turtles. It is the only non-carnivore diet I have in here. This is a plant-based turtle diet that I put in once in a while just to give my turtles some extra vegetation. Turtles will eat vegetables. If you chop up lettuce or broccoli, any kind of vegetables you have, I usually do leafy greens because that's what I'm feeding all of my dragons. I throw some of that in the pond with the turtles and they'll eat it for the most part. The baby turtles are definitely more carnivorous, so they're not going to eat a whole lot of that stuff. But if you have adult turtles, they love a snack of veggies and leafy greens every once in a while. We have super brine shrimp. Again, we have those freeze-dried brine shrimp eggs for when they're babies. When they get older, you can just buy frozen brine shrimp. It's a lot easier. You just put these cubes, they're ice cubes, with the whatever type of food is in it. Drop it in the water. Within 2 to 3 minutes, it starts melting and dissolving, and all of that delicious food comes out, and your animals devour it right up. We have krill, another ocean bug that all of the newts and turtles and axolotls and whatnot eat up voraciously. And lastly, for the packaged foods, we have mysis shrimp, which is in the carnivore diet. This is just pure mysis shrimp that I put in there for them. They love it. We also have just plain raw shrimp. I actually feed this to my turtles, my sliders and cooters, and the turtles in my big pond. Our stock tank like this stuff, but mostly my alligator snapping turtle absolutely loves this stuff. And also, every once in a while, I'll put it in with my Australian water dragon, and she will devour this stuff up too. Along with some of the other frozen foods I've put in with our water dragon. I've put turtle pellets in with the water dragon. She eats all of those right up. Speaking of water dragon, we have pinky mice. I don't give them, this is not a staple diet, this is a treat. But usually once or twice a month, I'll put 3 or 4 pinkies in there for her. and she loves them. So that is it for our frozen foods. Next, we will move over to live foods. And lastly, we have our live foods. These are all going to be for our insectivorous animals, bear dragons, Rankin's dragons, crested geckos, leopard geckos, all of our bug eating animals. So first here we have our main diet for our leopard geckos, which is going to be mealworms. These guys are the staple diet for any leopard gecko. Some of our other animals do like to have these as snacks every once in a while. I don't give them to a whole lot, but these are mainly for our leopard geckos. You take these, put them in a dish. I usually put some calcium powder on them, like we saw earlier. Dust them, leave them in there for until they're gone. So those I just fill up in a bowl, leave them in their enclosure all the time, make sure they always have food. Next step up is a little bit bigger of a bug. We have superworms. These are going to be for our bigger lizards. Our leopard geckos will eat these, but our Raken's dragons and our bearded dragons and our Australian water dragons are going to love superworms. They are not a staple diet though. Unlike the mealworms, superworms are a treat. They are higher in fat. They have higher in chitin, which is the exoskeleton shell that they have. So they are more of a treat rather than a base diet. We also have roaches, like this guy right here. This is one of our Madagascar hissing cockroaches from our colony. We have a colony of probably 50 or 60 of these guys right now. So the adults, I really don't, besides our tegu every once in a while might eat an adult, but I don't have any other animals that are going to be eating adult hissing cockroaches. But their babies are great. Babies go for any of our insectivorous eating animals, and they are a great staple diet. Roaches. I don't have any right now, but we also do dubia roaches and lobster roaches. Again, variety. Any animal, even with bugs, you want to make sure that you have variety in your food. Don't give them the same thing every day, because all the different types of food are going to have different nutrients in them, different vitamins, different protein, different all this stuff. So you want to vary up their diet and not just give them the same thing every day. Even with the roaches, I mix up the roaches. I usually keep and breed all Madagascar hissing, dubias, and lobster roaches. All of them have their different pros and cons. Especially with keeping them, lobster roaches are probably one of the hardest because they will climb glass. Good thing about dubias is they cannot climb solid glass. Hissing cockroaches, again, really easy to keep, really easy to breed. As long as you keep them humid and warm, they'll breed for you year round, and you will have thousands of babies every single year. The last live food I have to show you today are going to be crickets. Crickets are probably one of the more common animal bugs that you're going to get to feed to your animals. They are not the most nutritious for your animal. Your roaches are definitely going to be a lot better for them, but again, you want to give variety into them. So I do keep crickets, and I feed all of my insectivorous animals are going to be eating crickets at least 1 to 2 times a week. They will get roaches 3 to 4 times a week, and superworms maybe once a week. I'll give them superworms. So the only other food source that we have not shown down here that I do feed on a regular basis are going to be veggies. All of our bearded dragons, tortoises, all those animals, Rankin's dragons, are all going to be eating veggies on a daily basis. It's very important for them to have their veggies. They get water out of them. They get their a lot of their nutrients they need to breed and to just live in general. It comes from green, and when you buy greens for them, when you buy lettuce for them, you do not want to get iceberg. Iceberg is one of the vegetables you want to stay away from. Has almost no nutritional value, even for us as people. It is not good for you. It's not bad for you, but it doesn't do anything for you, so just don't eat it. Dark leafy greens are going to be the best for them. They have the most densely packed nutrients in them. The darker the green, the better for your animals. We also mix in stuff like bell peppers and carrots and zucchinis and yellow squash. Very, very, very infrequently, we'll put fruits in there like strawberries and blueberries and mangoes. But they have a higher sugar content. Stay away from those, feeding them as often. So maybe I'll do them once a month. They'll get some fruits in their food. So I think that is it. That is our feeding regime of all of our animals that we have here. We currently have at least 20 or 30 species, and we have well over 100, 150 animals. You can take a look around right here. This is all our tanks. We have over 100, 150 animals that we keep here. And to feed all of those animals, you need a lot of food. And like I said, variety is key. Drill that into your brain. The more variety you can give to your animals, the healthier and happier that animal is gonna be. Leave a comment down below with your favorite foods to feed your animals. If you feed your animal stuff that you didn't see here today, or your favorite brands of food that you like to eat. And remember, if you're feeding a pelleted diet, a pre-packaged diet, look at your ingredients list. It is very important for the health of your animal that you make sure that it doesn't contain majority of fillers. You want that fish meal, chicken meal. You want those whole foods in that ingredients list. Those first 3 to 5 ingredients on your ingredient list, you want to be real whole foods, not wheat and corn and all the other kind of fillers. It's not giving your animal any nutrients. It's just a filler product. If you found what we did here today at all interesting to you, I please ask you that you would hit that like button, hit the subscribe bar down at the bottom right there, and hit that notification bell so that you know when we upload videos and we can grow our channel to reach more and more people. I love doing this, and I hope to be able to do this for many years to come, and hopefully be able to make this our full-time job. I love making videos for you guys. I love educating. I love just sharing my knowledge of animals and reptiles with all of you, and I hope you all enjoy it too. So make sure you're feeding your animals good, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.